Yeah, hi there. These comments are for Flavia, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. And you had a question, I think, about omitting if in sentences, right? Now, first of all, why do we do it? In both speaking and writing, you want to try to demonstrate that you have both basic and advanced grammar knowledge. So being able to omit certain words and then change the word order indicates that you have a little bit better grammar proficiency than the normal person. That means that you're closer to being a native speaker. So to help you with this, first of all, there are basically 3 words that we use where we can omit the if clause connector. So that's the first thing you want to remember. Okay, now the next thing is we have to take a look at the sentences and their meanings. So you might say this. So in this case, we have, if I were you, I would study more before taking the test tomorrow. So in this case, this is used to give advice. Now, what we have said is when you omit that particular connector, you have to change the word order so that the listener or the reader knows that it's still a conditional statement. So that's what we have to do. So these sentences have the same meaning. If I were you, I would study more before taking the test tomorrow. And then the second one, were I you, I would study more before taking the test tomorrow. Now, of course, I'm not you. I'm just giving advice in this case, right? So basically, once you omit that word, that connector, if, in order for the listener or the reader to know that it's still a conditional clause, you put were I you. Now let's take a look at another one. I'll say this. Here. Actually did it the other way first. But let's take a look at this one now. In this case, we have, if Tammy had been at the party, she would have talked to Stephen. Now, notice here that we're using what's called the past perfect to talk about what is called a past impossible condition. That's something that you want to remember. Now, in the other one, notice how we're using, in this first example, were I you, we're using the simple past verb to talk about a present impossible condition, which means I am not you, right? But I'm just giving you advice. In this case, you should probably also keep that in mind. Okay, now the other thing here is you also have to understand what the meaning of this sentence is too, so you have a general idea of how to understand it. If somebody says something to you, you want to make sure you get the meaning. You could say this. This is what your brain has to remember here. This is what I call it, in this case, this is what's called a past impossible condition. This is the actual meaning. This is what you got to remember, right? Let's make this red. Okay, now, the next thing is we can also take this sentence and we can omit if, and we have to change the word order. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. We have to say had Tammy been? So with the word order, we use what's called a subject verb inversion word order. We omit the connector. We have to put the auxiliary verb first, then we put the subject here, and then we'll put the main verb there. So had Tammy been at the party, she would have talked to Stephen. And this has exactly the same meaning here. Now, of course, both sentences have this same meaning here, a past and possible condition. Now, the last example is this. I did it again. See, I'm so used to doing it the other way, it's hard for me to write it this way. A lot of native speakers will do this. Oh, that one might not work as well. Let's try this one. In this case, if you should call, I will be ready to talk. Now in this case, if we omit the connector, watch what happens. We'll put the auxiliary verb first. Here, should you call, I will be ready to talk. So we have that one. We have this one. And then we have the first one here. So I guess what you have to remember is, in each case, you have to remember, first of all, what kinds of verbs do you use in conditional clauses, in which cases you can actually omit if and change the word order. So what you want to remember here is 3. Like I said at the beginning of the video, you got were, you have had, and then you have should. And those are the 3. And again, and like I showed you here, here is how you do it. So you omit the connector. Had Tammy been at the party, she would have talked to Stephen. Were I you, I would study more before taking the test tomorrow. And then, of course, you can say here, had Tammy been at the party, actually, let me go to the last one here. If you should call, you say, should you call, I would be ready to talk. So those are the 3 ways of omitting if, and then changing the word order to create what's called a subject-verb inversion. And it is still, this is what you want to remember, even though it doesn't have if in it, this is still considered a conditional clause, a conditional statement. All right? Hope that answers your question.